Welcome to the Meditation Ward. My name is Nadia Ward. I'm really excited to bring you this podcast where I talk to interesting people who also happen to be meditators. Welcome back, everyone, to the Meditation Ward. My name is Nadia, and I am extremely excited to get to talk to Jack Rourke today. He is one of the most prominent spiritual counselors in North America and considered the top love and relationship psychic in America. Jack's day-to-day client work is solely focused on helping clients address and resolve their most important personal, interpersonal, and spiritual concerns using the intuitive methodology he's developed over 3 decades. Thank you so much, Jack, for taking the time to talk to me.
Very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm sure some of the questions that I'm curious about, you might have already answered 1,000 times to other people. So we'll try to find a way to make it new and fresh for you. What is your meditation practice like?
So meditation practice for me is, to put very simply in one sentence, is to do nothing very carefully. And so sometimes, my meditation might begin by just finding the empty space in my body, right? To lengthen my limbs, my joints, to be straight back and just breathe and feel the empty space within my body. And then to begin a walking meditation and being very, very deliberate in my step, in so that I continually maintain a feeling of the presence of that emptiness. And what's interesting is when that occurs, it's almost as if everything gets brighter, crisper, sharper, and there's a feeling of sort of spaciousness and stillness and relaxation. And really, whether I'm walking or I'm sitting, that's really the focus of my meditation, is to do absolutely nothing except for feel the spaciousness of my being. And so I might, of course, I might work with my breath or do a little intramuscular relaxation, but that's about it. I don't really ascribe to rigid techniques, because systemizing it, what I found, makes the mind mechanical. Now, the benefit of having that methodical and organized experience of the mind is that you do begin to see the spaces in between thought. And so that's actually very valuable. But this way affords that as well.
Yeah. Because it's not just spaces between the thought, but it's empty spaces within your cells, your body.
All of them. When you're stressed, do you feel more tight and heavier and taut, or do you feel kind of loose and relaxed?
Yeah, definitely the first.
Right. And so there is a value in working with the body. And if we can create that sense of relaxation, or that sense of correct posture and openness, then, the mind will relax some. But the more we focus on the mind, the more we kind of identify with the contents of the mind. And so what I've learned to do is just sort of let it go, let the mind do whatever it's going to do, because the mind needs thoughts. The mind needs thoughts, or it doesn't feel it exists, right? But when you don't identify with the mind, it doesn't matter what the mind does. Right? So do nothing very carefully is sort of what's become my mantra when it comes to my meditation practice. And then I might just sit. I might sit and just let the body relax, let the breathing be natural, let the mind run its course, and then I just try to remain there. That's it. Remain there. I don't put a goal on it. When I was young and I first started doing this, okay, I want to do this. I want my mind to be like that. And there's this sense of struggle. It creates this internal conflict of trying to achieve something through meditation. But what happens is it elicits this kind of self-evaluating response, where that in itself becomes a source of anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
I just sort of want to let go of it.
Yeah, I talked to an actor the other day, and we were talking a little bit about acting classes, and he kind of was like, I feel like the point of acting classes over time is to teach you that you don't need acting classes.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
and it sounds like, but also for meditation, to get to the point that you're in, sometimes you have to go through those beginning harsher, like more strict
True,
steps to learn that you can let them go and just show up in the space in between.
true, very true. Because people aren't aware of the fact of how identified they or dependent they are on the body, or how ensnared they are on the mind, or how hyperreactive and attached they are to their emotions. And so these more disciplined approaches sort of cause people to realize where they're holding on. But then once you know where you're holding on, you have to just let go.
Yeah.
And then, but that in itself becomes a thing, because when you just let go, you don't know who you're going to become or what's going to happen. And we can look at that as sort of the dark night of the soul in a way, or lo, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, right? So the shadow of death is the death of the ego. It's we're going into darkness. So long as I'm identified with my mind, or I'm really attuned with my emotions, and I'm really into my body, then I kind of know what's going to happen. But when I let go of those three things, then I have nothing to orient myself by. Goes back to the beginning of our conversation, is the experience of self only emerges in relationship to an object that it focuses on. This is when people lose that subject object relationship, they fall into a hole. And this is when they become absolutely terrified and overwhelmed. You can even psychosis, because they're panicking. It's like they've been thrown into the ocean at night in the middle of the Pacific, and they're reaching for anything to hold on to. And so what happens though with spiritual practice is you begin to come to understand that I am water, that I can float, that this is where I belong. Right? And so the depth of that dark water is no longer frightening. Just lay back and float. Right? And then you can move into experience and out of experience, and move into experience and out of experience. And this is again, and Christ was not the only teacher to say this, but he said it most eloquently, which is, I can lay my body down and pick it up again. And that speaks to this idea of literally leaving the physical body, and other yogis have done that. But also we can look at it more metaphorically, which we can look at the body of our persona, what we think, what we feel, what we imagine we are physically. We can let it go, even if for 30 seconds in the morning, 30 seconds at night, maybe then it becomes 10 minutes. And then what happens is the brain begins to reorganize itself.
I
Okay?
feel so grateful that the way my life has like led me, I have a meditation practice and I'm so grateful for it, for some of those reasons. Yeah.
It's wonderful. You can go back to that, and at any point, you can turn your attention to that stillness. It's always with us, no matter where we are. And in relationship to that, your experience of self changes.